Alright, welcome back guys. Keen to get stuck straight into it. I've already packed away all the parts as much as I could, but I'm keen to have a crack at trying to get this 12A running, so basically just going to go through the process. Going to take the carbine inlet manifold off, make sure nothing's dropped down inside there, have a look in through the inlet ports and the exhaust ports, make sure there's no crud in there, do the auto trans in the engine treatment to loosen up all the seals and everything. Put the carbine in that back on, see if we can get some spark to it, hook some fuel up. Got some start you bastard, and yeah, see if we can get it to go. So first things first, whip this inlet manifold off I guess, and go from there. Tall port. That's pretty cool. Doesn't seem to be any junk in there. Seems to be really nice and clean in the ports. I mean, you're seeing it as I'm seeing it, and that's pretty impressive for how long it's been sitting around. Exhaust isn't too bad. Inside of the housing's actually quite oily, which might be from maybe Earl put some oil in there when he had it, or might be from all those years ago when I started it. I might have poured some oil down it afterwards, I can't remember. But yeah, plugs out next and trans oil through there. Oh, and take this apart and clean this out as well. Although this actually all looks pretty clean in there, so I reckon this is good to go. Right, just got the carby off the inlet manifold. That all looks pretty clean in there, but I'm gonna give it a blast with some carby cleaner, clean the carby out, whack that all back on, put some trans oil through it, turn it over a few times, and then we'll hook fuel and spark to it and see if we can get it to crank. I've got a starter motor here, I've got to put a starter motor in too, so I have to climb underneath and do that because they go in from the back down here. Alright, so I got the inlet manifold on. After I cleaned it all out, I'm going to just pour some trans fluid down there now. Give it a big dose, put the starter motor in, and well, I'll put the starter motor in, but I'll turn it over by hand with the trans oil first, just to let it all soak through. Feed it. Happy times. That'll probably do. Turn it over by hand. Give it some more. Alright, so just rolled it forward a bit, took the bonnet off, easier to work on, much more light. Got the starter motor in, got some battery cables hooked up, got a trigger wire, so this should all be hot. Actually, I haven't checked the oil. It's about half full of oil. It's really strong out of those spark plug holes, so I might comp test it because I think it's gonna have good comp. I'm gonna say it's definitely gonna run. I'm saying it, it's definitely gonna run. All right guys, so this is what's happening. Plugs are back in. That brain box that was in the car was dead, so I got the other, had a spare brain box, so I've got spark. I've got my starter motor trigger wire, but the starter motor's a bit dicky. So I might have to give it a whack. Got my fuel tank with 5 litres of premium and 50 mils of two-stroke oil. Got my fuel pump on the carby. Carby's full of fuel, all ready to go to try and start this thing up. All right, GoPro went dead, so we're back on the phone cam. Which sucks, but it is what it is. Oh, starter motor again. I just had it working. All right, so it's going, but it's not running. I think there might be something wrong with the carby. I've just tried zip tying the choke open a bit. I'm gonna try again and see what happens. I keep losing the trigger wire. So yeah, I don't know what the deal is, because it should run because there's fuel in the carby, but it's not like it only runs when I'm spraying the starty bastard in there. So I'm gonna have a think about that and see if I can work it out. All right, so I've tried just hooking up power to some of the solenoids on the carby, but I can't seem to get it to suck fuel from the carby. I can only get it to run on the starty bastard. So basically what happens is and then the minute I stop with the starty bastard, it just cuts out, even though the float chamber's got fuel in it and stuff. I'm not really sure what's going on. So I've got some other 12A carbies at home. I might try another carby tomorrow, but it runs. So I'm calling that somewhat a success. It makes noise. All right, so I thought about it. And the more I thought about it, I thought to myself, you know, this is a tool port block, and the manifold, it doesn't actually cover. There's like a little port underneath these, and it only half covers it. So I just thought, rather than trying to make something work when there's vacuum leaks and everything everywhere, I just had another manifold. I got completely carried away with it. But someone out there's probably got a tall port manifold, and they're just going to look at this and laugh at me and be like, dude, I had a tall port manifold, you could have had it. But I basically just sat here last night and built this up with the TIG welder, just feeding filler wire in there. And I got a bit carried away and blocked up the EGR as well, and the PCV, after I gave this manifold a blast in the blaster. So that actually will cover that that lower section, that little square down here. That'll actually cover that and seal that off now. And then the carbies, I had a whole bunch of carbies at home, so I figured I'll just pick the carby that's got no sides and all of that shit on it. So This is probably like an early 12A carby, like a Series 1 carby, and I used to pull these apart and rebuild these and modify these a lot back in the day, so I figured I would just stick to what I know, clean this all up, put that carby and that manifold on with some fresh gaskets, and yeah, got some radiator hoses on there, so I can actually put water in it and see if the engine fills up with water or if all the compression pressure just comes out the cooling system as well. I need to know that. So put this carby and inlet manifold back on and put some water in it, and then try fire it up again and see where we're at. Alrighty guys, manifold's on, carby's on, it's got fuel in it. I think I've got a problem with the needles and seats not working, so the carby's just, when I put the electric fuel pump on, the carby's just flooded in, but I put water in it, had a few leaks, I've still got a bit of a drip, but we should be go for a startup. That was a bit of fun.
and I think she just ran out of fuel. Guys, what an absolute great feeling to see some rotary flames, be deafened by rotary noises. And yeah, the shop smells like rotary fumes. It's been a while for me, so I'm just on cloud 9 right now, absolutely loving it. And yeah, this seems pretty straightforward. Nothing blowing up out of the cooling system, like if it was leaking compression past the water seals into the water jackets. They usually blow bubbles and stuff out the radiator, or vice versa. There's no water coming out of the exhaust. The only thing that does bother me is the oil's a bit creamy. But the actual level of the oil doesn't seem to have gone up, and the radiator hasn't gone down. So yeah, I guess I just have to leave it overnight and see. It's not uncommon for these to cream up, the bottoms of the oil cap and stuff. But yeah, I'll leave it overnight and see what happens. Until then, I'm calling it a massive success. Next stage for this car, I'm not sure. If the 12A is good, I'll check the water level tomorrow. It's coming out. It's going into another Mazda that I rescued out of a paddock. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's going to be awesome. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.